Mann, das ist doch eine Scheiße, Digga. Hängt sich die Kacke einfach auf, Mann. Ich konnte ihm nicht mal sagen, dass ich im Stream bin, Digga. Schade, schade, schade. Schaut in Legends Landing vorbei, um zu sehen, wie die besten Spieler der Welt um ihren Platz in den FNCS Finals kämpfen. Aber wieso sind denn schon die Finals? Ah, wartet. Nee, das sind ja nicht die Finals, das ist ja Qualifikation. Da steht einfach Finals, Digga. Finals sind 4. bis 6. März, Junge. So, Freunde, wie scheiße. 18.3. beginnt das. Aber es ist heftig, ne? Weil, guck mal, 19.3. endet ja eigentlich die Season und da ist einfach der Champions Cup für PlayStation, beziehungsweise für Konsole. Digga. Ich will da auf jeden Fall mitmachen. Und muss dafür auf jeden Fall, denke ich, Champions Arena sein. Also das beginnt gleich in 3 Minuten. Die Frage ist jetzt, wo ich zugucken kann. Ich hab schon irgendwie Lust dazu zu gucken. Ah, da. Dann rein da, Digga. Rein da. Ah, Mann, Fortnite ist eben einfach abgekackt, ey. Ich brauche auf jeden Fall den neuen FNCS-Skin, Alter. Den hole ich mir auf jeden Fall, dann habe ich alle 3. Okay. Bus. V-Bucks. Gib mir V-Bucks, Digga! Da ist der zweite FNCS-Skin. Wow, Junge. 5 Bällebusse stehen bereit. Grüne Banane, Digga. Ah. Das ist schon geil gemacht hier. Oha. Ich komme Stimmen her. Mhm. Zusammenarbeit mit Epic Games.
So it was a very big opportunity for me. I've already played with Stompy though. Us three had the best vibes ever. Like we're just playing, we have so much fun and we all trust each other.
A lot of teams didn't do quite as well as they probably could have, but you guys really stepped up.
You're gonna have that like pressure on you, like, oh yeah, we need to do good, we need to do good. But when we were con, we were just like, we were con anyways, just go for it, you know. And we came third while con, which I don't think anyone else has done. I think that's the best placement.
Outside of Fortnite, how do you sort of wind down? Talk to me about what sort of keeps you going and keeps you level-headed, because obviously as much as you guys grind Fortnite non-stop, there's got to be a bit of balance there at times.
Kino hier,
talk to me
oder
about,
was?
you know, Pink outside of Fortnite.
Quite literally was on my PC all
Bar.
day, every day. But then as of recently, I'm taking a few more breaks. I'm starting to go gym.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. So I need to just settle down and chill out a bit sometimes.
Talk to me though about your goals for this year, your goals as a player.
This year, I really want to focus on winning, and I want me and my team, so my coach Budex, my teammate Anas, and my mental coach Papi, we're all working hard. So I hope it all pays off.
Ist das die Gewinner oder was?
One of the FNCSs this year.
To all the people watching at home, be rooting for you. Thank you very much for joining me, Pink. It's been a pleasure chatting to you in the lobby. We'll see you guys all next time.
Legend. Thank you so much, Pink, for that interview. It's great to hear from you. And speaking of Legends, have you guys checked out Legends Landing? It's happening in-game right now. You guys got to go check it out. It's in the Buy Epic Discovery right now. If you're watching from there, what's going on, Legends Landing? Thanks for having us. You know we love hanging out with all of y'all. Now let's keep the ball rolling. There's a few things we want to talk about. There's some of these duos we kind of need to zero in on and kind of bring them to the light, right? Some of these you guys may be familiar with. Maybe you're just like, I haven't had time to catch up with competitive. Don't worry, we got you covered. We're kicking things off. We got Tayson and Thomas HD. Two names I feel like I've been talking about since, you know, competitive has become a thing. Where are these guys going?
Look, you can already see them right now, far left aside, the new POI covert right now, looking super good off spawn, realistically, because they can get such good loot here. They can get a bunch of the drops, get launch pads, but they're contested by a bunch of other teams. In all honesty, like, you know, Tayson and Thomas need no introduction. Let's be absolutely frank about that to start with. But their season hasn't gone so well in terms of like cash cup placements overall. They've had one really good one, I think this was a second in week number 3, which was great, but you know, there wasn't that crazy performance that we're used to seeing from them. However, that's actually pretty standard for Tayson, to be honest with you. You see, when it comes to FNCS, that's time to shine, and so far already, like, completely different from the cash cup placement. Seems to be on top game, and I'm thinking maybe off spawn's gonna be a bit different, but a huge performance from them definitely today.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, they have a love-hate relationship with Thomas and Tayson. I mean, these guys, they don't practice, they don't play the game as much, but they're so damn good. I just don't understand it. They are just ridiculous. Thomas HD, some of the best aim I've ever seen in the game. Tayson, such a smart player, you know, 4-time champion. I mean, Vendo and Joe, they have the work cut out for them at that draw spot, but, you know, I think they'll do well today. It should be fun.
Dude, I love the breakdown. We're going to keep it going, Boo, but I'm staying with you. Talk to me. Cammy and Teak. Oh. Now, you're pretty excited about this duo in particular. Why is that?
I mean, this is my favorite duo, mainly because they're so consistent. They do have their own draw spot now over at the Neo Cammy split. Somehow Cammy is a genius for learning all of these draw spots. He knows just exactly what is the best spots on the map, and he just, you know, he owns it. He has been dominant from this spot. You know, Cammy is one of the best players of this chapter. He has been unrivaled, you know, almost qualifying every single Cash Cup round 2 of this season. Unfortunately, did not make the last duo Cash Cup round 2. You know, sort of fell down a little bit there, but, you know, these guys, if you want to see late game, you just have to watch them because they're there every single time.
Yeah, if you've heard the terminology Cammy split, if you've watched anything before, last season there was a Cammy split. Why is it called Cammy split? Because Cammy lands there. Like, realistically, that's the sake of it. It's owned that drop spot season after season. Now they're kind of in the Cuddle Pond area, which is right in the center of the map. Because obviously you've never seen Cammy split this season. This is new to everyone out there. Middle of the map, just to the south of a lot of the POIs, basically right in the middle, which is better than a lot of the previous chapter because it was a bit more over to the east. So they have some really good rotations from this draw spot total.
So good. I love the big change up right now with the new map. We have a whole year of talking about this. It's so awesome. Now we got to change it up though. Another duo to throw your way, Noah Riley and Aqua, right? Now, some of you may remember Aqua from back in the day. He returned last season. He was like, I'm back. I want to compete. And now he's back, but with Noah Riley, Reese?
Okay, look, I'm gonna use your questioning with Noah Riley. This is where things get interesting as well. You can see them in the Daily Bugle, which was the drop spot that Aqua originally has won a cash cup from, week number 2. But it wasn't with Noah Riley. It was actually with Stompy instead. And then after that, didn't manage to make a second round of the cash cup. Basically, Aqua won a cash cup, and then it just went pretty disastrously for the rest of the season so far up until this point, until last week where he switched up, played with Noah Riley, and actually didn't qualify for the cash cup either. So it didn't look like it was going to go well with this new duo. Noah Riley himself also struggled with teammates, struggled with playing with Seti, didn't really work out that well then with Janice. So now they've come together, and it seems to be similarly in a way to Tayson and Thomas HD, not the best in cash cups, but when it comes to FNCS, when it matters, they're just performing.
There is that little change, right? For some reason, it's just once there's that FNCS like in the tag, in the title, what they're competing for, it's just they're on, right? So I'm excited to see them compete today. Let's talk about some things like off-spawn fights, right? These head-to-head matchups we could be seeing here in round number 3, and of course beyond. We got to start things off with Thomas HD going head-to-head against Bino. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about this, right? Covert Cavern is like pretty scary if you're not careful, if you're not aware of like how to actually play within it. So kind of talk me through this. How could this go?
So I'm gonna hit you up firstly. Firstly, why should you land here? Not how the fight gonna go first. Why should you land here? 40 chests, 18 henchman chests, which by the way are a 100% spawn rate. Remember, much higher than the normal one. 227 floor spawns, which is more than any other POI. Actually, double tilted towers, and then also the 2 guaranteed pads from the vault that's said there, which also gives you a ton of loot. So this is what these teams are trying to fight over.
Yeah, let me give you a little bit of history on this. I mean, Veno and Joe, they have done so well from the spot in Duo Cash Cup, right? They were contested by Janice and Noah in one of the weeks, and they absolutely demolished them.
Der Gelaber geht mir irgendwie auf den Sack. Das ist doch schon in Gange. Warum zeigen die denn kein Match, hä? Auch nicht in Gange. Aber trotzdem, Digga, wieso? Hä? Was ist das? Live-Matches. Ja, wo sind Live-Matches, hä? Wo? Mann. Digga, die labern ja immer noch.
Really good, but they didn't manage to get super consistent placements. I hope, like today, this is the one for them.
I mean, and also Lecce, he's been one of the guys who's also had the duo shuffle. He's played with Sean VP, he's played with a variety of different players, just trying to find that perfect fit, but so far it hasn't worked out. He did play with Swilliam a little bit at the start of the season, played a ton of practice together, and then split off again, but now they're back together and they're stronger than ever. And, you know, we always love to see Lecce do well, so I'm rooting for him.
I like that. Now, earlier, right before we kind of talked about Corbin, you talked about Anas specifically and Ping. Let's just kind of go back to them for just a little bit here. We have a little bit of time, and I want to kind of dive into what we can expect from this duo in particular. You know, they do have this llama split, like you called. We're not going to name it anything crazy. We'll just keep it llama for now, but talk to me about this duo.
I mean, Pink and Anas, they do struggle. I mean, these are guys that don't really frag out in this late game. If you take a look at the open placement, 371st. Just by the skin of their teeth, they qualified for semifinals. And now to the finals, they did make it in pretty easily. But, I mean, these guys, they play height, they play passively. But, if you end up seeing them with a 2-elimination win, don't be surprised, because that's just the playstyle.
But on top of that, like, they can get victory rounds. They can win games. In the 3 cash cups that they managed to make the round 2, they won 2 games in 2 of those. So they won 4 games out of the 3 kind of ones that they made. So huge potential to win games. So, but again, like that, you know, it's not going to be a 10 elimination win. Usually they're down the 3s and the 4s. Like for these guys trying to get up into like the first place, it's tough. But every time they get into a set lobby, they're in the top 10. So it's like top 8 here qualifies. So like these guys definitely have a huge potential too. But it's like, can they get first? They have to play in their A game.
Yeah, it's about evolving with the times, right? Keeping up with the meta as it develops. So we'll have to see. We're getting closer, though. Closer to toward that battle bus really quick. Let's touch on predictions, right? Which of these duels we think could end the day in one of those top 8 spots. Now, remember, because of trios. Now we're changing
Hört
it
auf
up.
Gegner, Mann, es gibt hier keine Gegner, jetzt starte!
O'Reilly. I will always be a fan of Aqua. I will still think back to the summer skirmish when he decided to shockwave down and get a victory royale, and that will always be in my heart. Reese Hub, Hen, and Queasy.
Yes, yes. Great team. Fantastic team. And you know what's even better is that they are on a tear this week. They won the Cash Cup. They came second on NA East. Haha, look at that region. You better. They've been playing so good so far this week in particular. And obviously throughout the whole season. Third-party tournaments, Cash Cups, whatever it is, they're doing well. They have a great drop spot on the north side of Sleepy Sound. They seem to have it on complete lockdown. We'll see if that's actually true today or not. But generally, like, these guys are such a good pick to win.
What about you, Boop? Teak and Cammy.
Yeah, I mean, I love my Polish boys. I mean, Cammy, Seti, Teak, they were one of my favorite trios. And now extending that on into duos, Cammy and Teak, they are just so ridiculously consistent. There's nothing more to say about that. If you take a look at the match history sometimes, you would not see any placement below top 10. And that's just the name of their playstyle. They're there in late game, mid-ground, fragging out. I love them.
100%. And also, look, let's be real. Shio and Levin, they're going Tayson, Thomas, HD. We've already talked about why they're so good. Would it be an F6 broadcast without Levin hyping up Tayson? Like, I don't think so. I'm sure we'll hear plenty of it throughout the next 6 games as well, though.
It always happens, right? It's always like he jumps on the train and he's like, you know what? No, Tayson's not doing well. Then it's literally the next game where Levin decides to say, look, Tayson, I don't think you're doing well, man. And then bam, Tayson's like, okay, Levin, my bad. I've been playing around the whole time. Let me go ahead and get a victory out. And then that's it. Levin's come full circle. He's like, yeah, I never left. I always believed in Tayson. I get it. It happens. But you know what? It's about that time. So guess what? We're going to introduce you to our casters. You saw their names. It's Shy Wager. It's Levin 2K. They'll be with us for these 6 games. So friends, let's kick it over to you. Say hello.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Reese, and Boop. A fresh new desk for a brand new chapter of the FNCS. And with that being said, welcome to Duos. My name is Shy Wager, joined by the legend Levin 2K. And Levin, the atmosphere, the pressure for these players around this first qualifier is at an all-time high.
Yeah, it's high indeed, but you know what they say, pressure makes diamonds or it bursts pipes, and we'll see what these players are today. Look, I'm excited. I can't believe, though, Boop thinks he's the most handsome person on the broadcast. I don't know where that's come from, mate. You gotta relax. Nevertheless, though, right, we got a huge day. Big games, right? The players have already been playing today. You know, there's already a sort of level of expectation of what these guys can come out and do. And it's about replicating that, right? Sure, you were great. You made top 50 in the last round. Can you come out and get top 8 in this one?
Yeah, and the last round was so different for a lot of players as well, right? One less hour, a few less games than they're used to. It felt like it was impossible to play some of these games. You needed everything to go perfect, or you just basically went home. So after that grueling process, just finally surviving, getting a breath of fresh air, I'm wondering how things switch up here, because Levin, you know, in these rounds going all the way for the finals, it's a very different atmosphere entirely. Plus, every player might be at a new drop because someone else didn't qualify. It's very, very different to the regular game we usually see played in any Cash Cup or different type of Fortnite.
Yeah, the ability to adapt is key. And like you mentioned, there are players who will be switching up drop spots from what they're accustomed to. But nevertheless, if you're making that decision, you have to be confident in your ability to execute that well. You know, a lot of these players have similar ideas and ideologies on how to play the game. It's about the execution, right? Who's actually going to go out and do it in these high pressure moments? And as we saw in the last round, it isn't easy whatsoever when you have all these players really at their best, looking to compete for the same goal. You know, you have to be able to do something that separates you, and that won't be easy for a lot of the people in the lobby, but again, right, you know, this is your chance to show that you can do it.
No, absolutely. Like, one big thing too in terms of expectations, predictions for both of us. I mean, I think we can count it down from 3, 2, 1 and, you know, do it together. 1, 2, 3, boom. You know what I'm saying? All right, you went the wrong way. It's all good. We fused together to go for Thomas and Tayson. The desk talked about it a bit. You can highlight it a little bit. Why do you like Tayson so much, Levin? Why is it always all in for him?
I'll be real with you. This season so far, Tayson Thomas hasn't been the most impressive for them so far, right? Questions about their work ethic, questions about whether they are still 2 of the best players in the region. But the problem is with these guys is that they have Fortnite mastered, right? When it comes to the fundamentals of the game, they have that down to a T. And then when it comes to just being able to adapt to new metas, it's like this for them, man. It gets so easy. Anytime we're having a conversation about who are the best players in the game, their names will always come up. They've done really well in previous competitions running up to this one in the past week or so. And so I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to be able to come out when the pressure is highest, when players around them are all wobbly and shaky, and really step up.
Absolutely, and we've been watching teams throughout the whole last 12 months of Fortnite, even past that, even more. Now it's all about teammates, that synergy, just being dynamic and adapting to a lot of things happening. You can get punished a little bit more inside the entire duos format. You're not gonna have the extra body to protect yourself when things go wrong, or to amplify and capitalize on any plays you wanna make. That's a big difference too. But with that being said, games are almost underway in just a second. The big thing too, 50 different entities on the map, so many more things to worry about for a lot of players. A brand new map too, Levin, entirely. There's so much to expect for this FNCS.
Yeah, look, big adjustments, right? Big adjustments, a whole new map. If you haven't watched any Fortnite for a while, don't worry, we will get you through it, right? Explain everything to you, give you the whole rundown. I think the biggest thing, right, is going into end games, the fundamentals, who actually has those great dynamics. I think that's why Tayson and Thomas will always be big favorites, because the combinations between the two, beautiful, beautiful textbook stuff. And everybody has to try get to that level or something there and thereabouts. So I'll be real, I'm super excited to see what plays out today.
Yeah, momentum still coming in. Joe and Vino first overall from that previous round. So many different players who just had, maybe different meetings and different types of entire environments around them game to game. Now it's all the same players in the same game, and that game is about to start. It's game number 1 of EU in the first qual. Almost there in just a second. 6 total as well that'll be there too. I mean, Levin, it's just, it's nuts, right? Because when you look at just the entire section of Fortnite, when it comes to just elite level lobbies, right, the top 100, 6 games, it feels like a lot. They dwindle down really fast.
Yeah, especially when, considering the fact that we're playing for top 8, you've got to have a couple games. Yeah, maybe you can allow yourself 1 or 2 games where things don't necessarily work out. But for the most part, you have to be on it game to game. And you have to be able to adapt game to game, of course, right? There are always going to be these small tweaks that you have to make. You can see here on your screen, Tilted Towers, a POI that's come back. A couple teams going to be dropping there, right? How do you go game to game in terms of what areas you claim, how you cut off other teams? There are all these little micro things that will play into how the story develops over the course of the 6 games, and ultimately things are in your hand as a player. You can't leave things at the end of it and go, oh, I got unlucky here, I got unlucky there. You have to make your own destiny in that sense.
Yeah, and the destiny is formed by relationships, and when you look at relationships between teams, it's my favorite part of the FNCS, the beef, Levin. The beef. I love the off-spawn combat. I love, just the stories throughout the season, and I feel like, Boop and Reese touched on it a little bit with Zeke too. Covert Cavern overall, that's where things are about to get super heated. Launch pads, guaranteed to have no problems for your entire game, available over there, but 3 God Squads ready to go there too.
Yeah, and I think the dynamics between the way those fights play out will just be so mesmerizing all day long, because like you said, sometimes you get teams contesting at these big spots, but oftentimes you get a clear and obvious sort of distinction between the teams, right? You got a tier 1 team there, tier 2 team, a team that's sort of in the middle between them. All the teams that are landing Covert today are teams who you could see winning the whole thing today if things were to go well.
Absolutely, and there's different tiers before what happens between, a desk towards the game starting. Right now, we'll throw it back to the desk. I got a little bit more to talk about before we get into that first game.
Appreciate you, Shy Wager, and of course, 11-2K. We're about to jump into game 1, but apparently people weren't ready. They didn't catch the battle bus. Things happen. It's okay. We're going to run this back. We're going to make sure everyone's accounted for on that battle bus, and then we're going to start off the competition. Great stuff, though. And I do like that these guys are kind of talking about the duos, the strategies to kind of prepare. So, let's kind of talk about the new mechanics here as we're kind of warming up the bus. How much of this new loophole, these new mechanics and games, you guys think will kind of play a factor? I think, Reese, you recently made a video on, sliding, for example, right? And if you just kind of, looked at it at a glance, you'd be like, sliding, okay, it's, the same as walking, ? But it's not exactly, is it, Reese?
No, so sliding is a mechanic that I thought was going to be more utilized, and I think now is still completely underutilized when it comes to fighting specifically. So right now, if you start sliding down a slope, you're going to get increased movement speed. If you slide on flat ground, by the way, no increased movement speed. It just looks cool. That's about the height of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it can throw people off. But what I really was hoping for, though, was that people would end up using it in fights. They'd find good ways to phase into boxes like I have. By the way, if you just slide and shoot a wall at the exact right time, you're going to phase straight into that person's box. Not seen it happen yet. If you come off of a launch pad, slide when you land, spray through someone's wall, you can go straight into their box. If someone does this, by the way, in a tournament, tag me on Twitter, because I've yet to see it in the 2 months this season's been out, and I said it when it came out. I was like, someone do this play, hit off a launch pad slide, spray into someone's box, and pick up an Elam.
I mean, there's Reese trying to farm Twitter followers again, but let's move on from that. I mean, I think sliding was... I think we all thought it was going to bring up the mechanical level of play even higher. I mean, there's a few people that have been practicing it. Vidil being one of them. He's been in the creative lobby, trying to crank it out. Seti, also one of those guys that have been, putting in the hours, as a main top of last trios. Now in duos as well, he's been putting in the hours to practice those sliding. If you definitely want to see that, then you should focus on those guys. But, I don't think it's had the impact that we thought it would have. But it's a pretty cool mechanic, and I'm excited to see how, you can sort of cut off people on mid ground and low ground with that mechanic now.
I still think yet. There's still time. That's one of those things, but it's like
someone's going to figure it out.
Someone will figure out how to use it in fights, how to throw people off, because like at the start of chapter 1, when people building editing, like people were like me and Zeke now, right? We're at that level, and then when the time has passed, people have gotten sufficiently better, obviously incredibly proficient at it, and I think sliding's going to be the same thing. It's a new mechanic this chapter and this season just starting. Over this chapter, I think we're going to see an evolution that people get extremely proficient with it.
Yeah, I think that especially like kind of you're saying, right, with chapter 3 season 1 hitting, there's a brand new map that you kind of have to like forget everything from previous like chapter 2, right? You have to just kind of wipe that away from your memory and say like, I have to learn all of these new areas, these new POIs, these new rotational patterns where people can be all this new stuff, right? So I think we haven't seen sliding quite yet come online. But I do have faith, right? Like, I do think once one person does it, kind of like to your point, Reese, everyone else will see it and go, oh, like, yeah, sorry about that. Like, I was trying to really learn my drop spot and make sure that I didn't lose here, but I'm going to start doing that at my drop spot, and then I definitely won't lose. We'll see. We'll have to see. Now, really quickly, I just wanted to touch on the prize pool here in Chapter 3, Season 1. Now, remember, this is the prize pool going into finals, so 2 weeks from now. Take a look at this prize pool out of Europe. $1.3 million. Just rounded up to 1.4. I don't know why. NA East, Brazil, NA West, Asia, Middle East, OCE. This is a global competition, boys, and this is a lot of prize money here in Europe.
Yeah, it's a lot of moolah, a lot of dosh getting dashed out. And obviously, remember, this is just specifically for the final. So right now, the top 8 teams that qualify through will get to play for this prize pool in the finals. That's what we're looking at once we eventually get these these queuing issues sorted and we're into game. That is what you're going to be looking at in the leaderboards. The top 8 will get to play for this in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, and that is definitely what you want to do, because the new semifinal system and the heat system is so tough to get through. I mean, that is a lot of money just to be playing for, and you don't want to risk it playing the heat system because it's a little bit RNG for you, so you got to be careful.
Man, die sollen jetzt
placing in that top 8, right? Like, if you can start just this first qualifier and hit that.
Das ist doch beschissen, Mann. Erste Runde hat doch schon angefangen. Hat das noch nicht angefangen? Hä? Seit einer halben Stunde, Digga! Seit einer halben Stunde läuft der Scheiß. Was ist das? Alter, 355. Bifrost. Ach, Digga. Morgen Solo-Cup wieder. Was nicht qualifiziert, Alter. Ja, wir spielen jetzt noch eine Runde Random Duos und dann mache ich Stream aus. Falls dann endlich mal eine Runde gezeigt wird, dann gucke ich auch noch mal rein, aber wenn die da nur labern, habe ich auch keinen Bock. Hallo?
Hallo?
Moin?
Was geht?
War nicht viel. Was soll ich schon gehen? Halt Fortnite spielen, ne?
Was ist?
Was soll ich schon gehen? Halt Fortnite spielen.
Ja. Los, tötet.
Nee, Digga. Da
Doch,
landen
ich
doch
getötet.
3000 Leute.
Ist egal. Da landen mittlerweile nicht mehr so viele.
Ne?
Nee.
Wow. Ab
Da
Main
landen vielleicht
oder
3 Duos oder so. Ja, ich gehe unten ins
was?
Main.
Hier gegenüber von uns. Kommt schon gut. Ja, 2, 3 Duos. Mhm.
Ja, okay, 5 Duos.
Komm, lass mich jetzt Fenster. Nein! Mann! Au! Lass mich in Ruhe.
Hier ist keine Waffe.
Ah, da ist auch keine Kiste. Oh Mann, Digga. Oben sind welche.
Ja, nice.
Oder? Ja.
Eine Waffe. Eine Waffe. Oh mein Gott.
Nee! Okay. Wollen wir noch eine Runde? Hm?
Was ist?
Noch eine Runde oder?
Nee, nee. Tschüss.
Tschüss. Perfekt, Digga. Ah, landen nicht viele, nur 2, 3 Duos. Mhm. Sehe ich. Das war's dann auch mit der Runde. Ah ja! Genau. Verbindung verloren. Ich bin aus der Runde gegangen hier. Ah, Digga, 359 EP für nur. Ich spiele jetzt noch genau eine Runde. Voila, genau eine Runde. Nur um Level 180 zu sein. Ach scheiße, ich wollte Spider-Man spielen. Egal. Zu spät. Was soll ich damit nicht noch was? ist mit meinem Ping, Digga? Ist der so hoch? Er saust an mir vorbei, Alter. Alles klar, you. Ja. Genau. Ich habe keinen Bock mehr, Leute. Das war's dann mit dem zweiten Stream, beziehungsweise mit dem zweiten Teil, weil Fortnite ja abgekackt ist. Wir sehen uns Sonntag im nächsten Livestream. Und ja, bis dahin. Haut rein und schön mit Ö.